in Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and Bahrain. And we would like to understand the total number of CML patients who were seen in the last 12 months. And we are going to split them as newly diagnosed. That means patients who were diagnosed in the last 12 months and follow-up patients who were diagnosed before the last 12 months. Okay, so we are going to split these patients, the newly diagnosed, as patients who were diagnosed in the last 12 months but not treated, and new patients who have also received treatment in the last 12 months, versus the follow-up patients also being split into those who received treatment in the last 12 months and versus off-treatment patients. CML patients always continue treatment for years, 10 years or more. They don't really have any breaks. You don't really have any wait and watch patients or remission patients. They just keep taking treatment. Then the summation of the new treated and the follow-up treated patients is going to be the total treated patients. So these total treated patients are going to be split into the drugs that they have taken: imatinib, dasatinib, nilotinib, ponatinib, and bosutinib, or any other drugs. Okay. The summation of all of these drugs can be more than or equal to the total here, because you could have the same patient who has moved from one drug to another drug in the last 12 months. So you count the patient in both the drugs. We also want to split these patients into the number of patients who've been tested for T315I mutation and how many were mutant. This is a rarely done test. Most of the hospitals are not testing, but that's important. It's very important to get this number right, because very, very few patients are being tested at the moment. And we want to know how many patients were treated in their line 1 or line 2 or line 3 in the last 12 months. So the totals should be split over here. And here again, the sum of all the lines can be more than or equal to the total. Because if a patient has moved from one line to another line, then you could have the patient being counted in line 1 and line 2. So just ensure that these points are stressed on very well with the doctor. And here I was thinking I'll just make it a little more uniform. So both the places we have the not treated first, and then we have the on treatment. Any questions on the MSS?
No, fine.
Okay, it's very easy. Now we move on to the.
Zora, excuse me.
Yeah, sure.
Zora, the line of treatment from one line to another line should be from these 5 treatments, right? Or out of these treatments?
I've mentioned all the treatments. These are the only treatments approved for CML. And I've also mentioned other drugs. Other drugs like azacitidine sometimes is given. This is not treatment specific. Overall, this should add up to or be more than the total patients.
Okay.
All your patients should be included here. Nothing should be missed. It's not treatment specific. We've also created another kind of market sizing sheet. Okay. Because some hospitals have very few patients. So you can also go for a sheet which is like this, where you get all the data in one go. Because, okay, let me show you what the sheet has. So in this sheet, we are asking what was the last treatment the patient has received, like the latest treatment the patient received, and is it ongoing or has it ended? If it has ended, then we can mention the date, or we can just say it's ongoing. Again, the dates and all are not so important. Even if you skip this column, it's okay. It's not very critical. What's more important is this, where we ask about the previous treatments the patients have taken, the previous discontinued treatment 1, treatment 2, treatment 3, the same treatments are mentioned. So we know whether it's line 1, line 2, or line 3 patient. And we're asking, has the patient been tested for T315I? If yes, was the patient mutant or not mutant? When was the patient tested? Was it at diagnosis, during line 1, line 2, line 3, or line 4? And whether the patient is local expert. Again, this is not that important. And date of diagnosis.
Zora, يعني the non-essential data, could you please like highlight?
Yes, sure.
Or highlight the other one?
even if you just get this, this is also okay. If you, so I'll tell you, there is a physician survey that we have created as well. Okay. If you do that MSS, right? If you do the MSS in this way, then the physician survey comes down only to 2 questions. Okay, like because we get all the answers from the MSS itself, we don't need to depend on the doctor. Okay. So the physician survey has some questions from the MSS itself, like how many patients did you manage in the last 12 months? How many were tested for the mutation and how many were mutant? And what are the main barriers for you to not test the patient for this mutation? Is it because of affordability, or is it because the test is not seen as a value addition to aid treatment? The testing is not available or any other. Most of the times the doctors are saying there's only one treatment for this mutation, so it's not very motivating to test the patient. Then what patient profiles do you test and when do you test? So when do you test? We will already know over here because we know whether the patient is being tested at diagnosis or during line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. So only we would like to know about what are the patient profiles. If you are not doing the detailed MSS, then these two and this one. Can you tell us what would motivate you to test the patient for the mutation, suitable treatment option, or PSP, or availability of testing, or any other? Then there's a question on the number of patients by line. This is the same as in the MSS that we have shown. And then we are asking to give the drug share by line. So in first line, how many patients took imatinib, dasatinib, nilotinib, and so on. In second line and third line. So when we add up the number of patients in this column of first line, it should be equal to or more than the number of patients in first line. Similarly, when we add up second line patient drug shares, it should be more than or equal to the second line. So yeah, in fact, no, in this case, because there is no combination treatment given, it will always be equal to. It will not really be more than, because all drugs are single treatments. It's usually more than or equal to when there are combination treatments. In this case, there aren't any combination, so it will always be equal to the total over here.
Okay. And the patients and total number of patients having CML, all of
Yes.
them, yeah, usually all of them are taking either one of those drugs.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
99.9% are always taking these drugs.
Okay.
So that's the survey. So yeah, you could decide where you want to do the detailed HCP survey, and if there are too many patients, then this MSS will definitely get a bit tedious. They will not do it. If there are hundreds of patients, then in that case you can do the short MSS, and then with an HCP you can do this detailed interview. And then we will be taking the numbers from the MSS and applying it over here to get the actual number of patients. Again, we do want the number of patients. That is the most preferred option, where you give us everything in terms of numbers. In case there are too many patients and the doctor is not comfortable giving numbers, you can take percentages and then we will apply it on the total number. But try to see as much as possible, if possible, the same doctor who's working on the MSS and can work on the interview, so that we don't have discrimination. Otherwise, the MSS number reads 200 and the doctor says, no, I have 300 patients. So it becomes a little tedious. Now, the most critical question here is the testing. And if you are able to do pathology interviews, then this is these questions about the testing are the ones that we need to ask them.
يعني the testing questions, guys, this we cannot compromise. يعني if the doctor say I don't have any idea how this is happening, then maybe we are talking to the wrong person. Okay, because this is a key element in the research.
Yeah. If the doctor is 100% sure and saying that we don't do the test at all, okay, then there's no use doing a pathology interview. But if the doctor says, no, we are testing, but I don't know the number, I'm not sure of the number, then we should do a pathology interview. So if the doctor is 100% sure of the numbers for testing, we don't need a path interview. But if he's not, then yes, we need it.
Okay.
Also, some a general idea about how is CML treated. CML is always treated with imatinib as the first line of treatment because this was the first drug ever to be launched as the golden standard of CML treatment. Imatinib is always used in line 1. Then you have dasatinib, nilotinib, which also takes some share in line 1. Line 2, you will not really see imatinib, you will see all the other drugs. And line 3, you would probably see the bosutinib, ponatinib. So first to be launched was imatinib, then dasatinib and nilotinib came in the market, and then the new drugs came in. So you will, see more patients to the least patients in this order.
Okay.
Yeah.